The room was dim, the curtains drawn, but a faint orange glow seeped through the gaps, casting eerie patterns on the walls. The air was thick, suffocating, and laden with a metallic scent. On the plush carpet lay a man, his face contorted in agony. Every heartbeat sent waves of molten pain coursing through his veins, as if his very blood had been replaced with liquid fire. His skin was slick with sweat, and his clothes clung to him, drenched. His mind was a whirlwind of confusion and panic. Memories of the previous night were a blur, but the sensation of burning from within was all too real. He tried to scream, but the sound was trapped in his throat, coming out as a hoarse whisper. His hands clutched at his chest, fingers digging into the fabric of his shirt, trying to quell the inferno raging inside him. But it wasn't just the fire. A gnawing emptiness consumed his stomach, a hunger so profound it felt as if he hadn't eaten in years. It was a hunger that seemed to echo the burning in his veins, demanding to be satiated. With great effort, he managed to push himself up onto his elbows. The room spun, and he had to close his eyes for a moment to steady himself. When he opened them again, he realized he was not in his own bedroom. The lavish furnishings, the high ceiling, and the panoramic window hinted at a high-rise apartment, far removed from his modest dwelling. Dragging himself across the carpet with trembling arms, he reached the window. He was about 10 floors up. The city sprawled below him. But it was not the city he remembered. Smoke billowed from distant fires, and the streets were littered with overturned cars, shattered glass, and bodies. So many bodies. People lay motionless, some sprawled in unnatural angles, others huddled together as if seeking comfort in their final moments. The world had descended into chaos, and he had no memory of how or why. He pressed his forehead against the cool glass, trying to make sense of the devastation below. The weight of his own pain and the sight of the ruined city threatened to pull him under. But he held on, driven by a need to understand, to remember, and to find a way out of the nightmare that had become his reality. As the first rays of dawn broke through the smoke, casting a blood-red hue over the city, he whispered to himself, "What has happened?" Turning away from the apocalyptic scene outside, he took a moment to study the apartment. The space was vast, with an open floor plan and minimalist decor. The walls were painted in muted shades of grey, and the furniture was sleek and modern. The absence of personal touches struck him as odd. There were no photographs, no mementos, nothing to indicate who lived here or what kind of life they led. He tried to summon memories from the previous night, but they remained elusive, like wisps of smoke that slipped through his fingers. The only thing he could recall was a sense of urgency, a frantic need to escape something, or someone. His footsteps echoed softly on the polished marble floor as he moved through the apartment. The living room led to a spacious kitchen, its countertops gleaming in the dim light. Stainless steel appliances lined the walls, and a large island dominated the center. He approached the refrigerator, hoping to find something to quell the hunger that gnawed at him. But as he opened the door, a wave of nausea hit him. Rows of neatly packed food stared back, but the sight of it made his stomach churn. He slammed the door shut, leaning against it for support. The silence of the apartment was oppressive. He strained his ears, listening for any sign of life, but all he heard was the distant wail of sirens and the occasional rumble of an explosion. He approached the front door, noting the multiple locks and a state-of-the-art security system. Tentatively, he tried the handle. Locked. The realization that he was trapped in this unfamiliar place added another layer to his growing sense of unease. Curiosity drove him to explore further. He found a study with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a luxurious bathroom with a sunken tub, and a bedroom that mirrored the starkness of the rest of the apartment. The bed was neatly made, its white sheets untouched. But as he retraced his steps to the living room, a chilling sight stopped him in his tracks. A trail of dark, congealed blood snaked its way from the entrance of the apartment, leading towards the front door. He followed it, his heart pounding in his chest. The trail continued beyond the door, disappearing into the dimly lit hallway. He pressed his ear against the door, listening intently. The halls were eerily quiet, save for the distant hum of the building's ventilation system. The weight of the unknown bore down on him, and he was torn between the need to stay safe and the urge to uncover the truth. He recoiled from the door, the weight of uncertainty anchoring him in place. The blood trail, the locked doors, the desolation outside, all of it was a cacophony of confusion, and he felt a desperate need to ground himself. The pain, though ever present, was momentarily overshadowed by his racing thoughts. He retreated to the window, seeking solace in the familiar view, hoping to find some semblance of clarity. The city below was still a tableau of chaos, but his gaze was drawn upwards, to the building directly across from his. There, amidst the smoky haze, he spotted a figure in one of the windows. A woman, her face pale and contorted with pain, much like his own. Their eyes met, and in that fleeting moment, a silent understanding passed between them. They were both prisoners of their own agony, trapped in a world that had inexplicably turned hostile. She seemed to be mouthing words, her lips moving in a desperate plea, but the distance and the thick glass between them made it impossible to discern her message. He watched, heart pounding, as she disappeared from view for a moment, only to return with a marker and a sheet of paper. With shaky hands, she scribbled something and then pressed the paper against the window. The words were scrawled in large, frantic letters. The burning, it hurts. His breath caught in his throat. The message was simple, yet it encapsulated the shared torment they were both enduring. The burning, the hunger, it wasn't just him. But what did it mean? Why were they suffering like this? A surge of determination welled up within him. He had to help her, to reach out and find answers together. With renewed purpose, he sprinted towards the door, every fiber of his being focused on the woman in the opposite building. But as his hand touched the cold metal handle, doubt crept in. The unknown dangers lurking in the hallways, the blood trail, the memories he couldn't grasp, they all held him back. He hesitated, torn between the instinct to help and the fear of the unknown. Retracing his steps, he returned to the window, his gaze once again locking onto the woman's. She looked desperate, her eyes pleading for understanding, for connection. He sank to the floor, overwhelmed by the gravity of the situation. The burning, the chaos, the shared pain. It was all too much. And as the sun cast long shadows over the ruined city, he was left pondering his next move, trapped in a world of uncertainty. The pain was a crescendo, a blinding force that consumed every thought, every sensation. It felt as if his very soul was being torn apart. He tried to scream, but no sound emerged. His legs buckled beneath him, and the world faded to black. When consciousness returned, it was to a world bathed in the soft glow of the moon. The open curtains framed a night sky, punctuated by the distant flicker of fires and the ever-present plumes of smoke. The once bustling city was now eerily silent, save for the distant wail of sirens and the sporadic crackling of flames. The streetlights, however, still cast their pale yellow glow, a testament to the resilience of the city's infrastructure amidst the chaos. Pushing himself up, he felt a wave of dizziness, but he fought it off, driven by a newfound determination to understand. His eyes scanned the room, searching for any means of communication. The large flat-screen TV mounted on the living room wall caught his attention. With the remote in hand, he pressed the power button and the screen flickered to life. Static filled the screen for a moment before settling on a local news channel. The anchor, a middle-aged man with graying hair and a somber expression, spoke with urgency. Behind him, graphics displayed the words, "Emergency Broadcast." Finding shelter is of utmost importance for those unaffected by this devastating plague. Symptoms include intense burning sensations, extreme hunger, and disorientation. If you or someone you know is experiencing these symptoms, please seek immediate medical attention. Local hospitals are setting up emergency units to... The broadcast suddenly froze, the anchor's face locked in a grim expression. After a few seconds, the video looped, replaying the same message. A plague? The word echoed in his mind, amplifying his confusion and fear. Was this the source of his agony? Was he infected? Memories tried to break through the fog of his mind, but they remained just out of reach. The repetitive message on the screen became a haunting mantra, deepening his sense of isolation. With a heavy heart, he turned off the TV, the room plunging into semi-darkness once more. Drawn back to the window, he approached it slowly, each step weighed down by the gravity of his situation. The city outside, with its juxtaposition of stillness and chaos, mirrored his own turmoil. As he gazed out, searching for answers in the ruins below, he was left with more questions than ever before. The apartment across the way was shrouded in darkness, the earlier beacon of shared suffering now extinguished. The woman was nowhere to be seen. A pang of worry shot through him, but his thoughts were interrupted by an unexpected sound. The unmistakable echo of footsteps in the hallway outside grew louder, each step heavy and deliberate. The rhythm was unnerving, not the familiar cadence of human feet, but something different. The steps grew louder, approaching his door with an ominous certainty. His heart raced, every instinct screaming at him to hide, to remain unseen. But curiosity held him in its grip. He pressed himself against the wall, holding his breath as the footsteps stopped right outside his door. There was a pause, a moment of deafening silence, before a series of forceful thuds jolted the door. It felt as if something massive was testing the barrier, gauging its strength. The thuds ceased as abruptly as they began, and the footsteps resumed, moving away from his apartment. As the sound began to fade, he mustered the courage to approach the door. The peephole provided a limited view of the hallway, but it was enough to catch a glimpse of the retreating figure. What he saw defied logic. The creature was tall, easily over 7 feet, with a hunched posture. Its skin was a mosaic of green and brown scales, glistening under the dim hallway lights. The creature walked upright, its powerful legs ending in clawed feet, while a long, sinuous tail trailed behind. Its head was elongated, with sharp, predatory features and eyes that glowed with an eerie yellow light. He recoiled in shock, his mind struggling to process the sight. This wasn't just some hallucination brought on by his condition. This was real. The world outside was not only grappling with a mysterious plague, but also with creatures of nightmares. His gaze was once again drawn to the window, to the apartment across the way. The lights were off, the earlier signs of life now replaced by an impenetrable darkness. Had the woman seen the creature too? Was she hiding, just as he was? Or had she met a fate he dared not imagine? The weight of the unknown pressed down on him, each revelation bringing more questions than answers. As the night deepened, he found himself trapped in a world where the line between reality and nightmare had blurred beyond recognition. The apartment, once a sanctuary of modern comforts, now felt like a cage. He paced restlessly, the weight of isolation pressing down on him. Drawn back to the TV, he hoped for some update, some explanation for the horrors unfolding outside. But as he reached for the remote, the lights flickered and died, plunging the apartment into darkness. The city outside followed suit, its once glowing skyline now a silhouette against the moonlit sky. The silence was almost tangible, broken only by the distant sounds of chaos and the now familiar footsteps in the hallway. Panic surged through him. Without the barriers of locked doors and walls, he felt exposed, vulnerable. Acting on instinct, he darted to the bedroom and slid under the bed, the coolness of the floor a small comfort against the rising tide of fear. Exhaustion soon took over, and he drifted into a fitful sleep, his dreams a reflection of the nightmare reality. In the depths of his subconscious, he saw the earth crack and split, giving birth to the reptilian creatures. They emerged with a ferocity, their jaws snapping, their claws rending. Each bite was lethal, victims collapsing in an instant, their final screams echoing in the night. Chaos reigned as people ran in all directions, their faces masks of terror. The dream shifted, and he found himself amidst the chaos, the ground trembling beneath him, the air thick with screams and the scent of fear. He tried to run, but his legs wouldn't move, the creatures closing in, their eyes fixed on him with predatory intent. With a start, he awoke, the morning light filtering through the curtains. The nightmare had ended, but the relief was palpable. To his surprise, the burning sensation that had tormented him was gone, replaced by a ravenous hunger. It was as if his body was making up for the torment it had endured. Without a second thought, he rushed to the kitchen, flinging open the refrigerator door. The sight of food which had once repulsed him now beckoned invitingly. He devoured everything in sight, the hunger driving him, each bite bringing a sense of normalcy and grounding. As he sat back, sated and momentarily at peace, he tried to make sense of the events. The creatures, the plague, the shared agony. It was all too much to process, but for now he was alive, and that was a start. The bite mark, though faint, was undeniable, a small crescent-shaped imprint on his forearm. It was a chilling reminder of the nightmare he had endured, but its faded appearance gave him hope. Perhaps he had been bitten, and against all odds, had survived the deadly effects of the plague. The realization was both terrifying and exhilarating. Drawn once again to the window, he sought out the familiar face from the apartment across the way. There she was, her demeanor noticeably different. The pallor of pain had been replaced by a cautious optimism, though the shadows of fear still lingered in her eyes. She held up a series of notes, each message scrawled in bold letters. Feeling better. Don't know what happened. What now? Her next note pointed upwards. Walkway above. Safe. He felt a surge of determination. They had both endured the unimaginable and had come out the other side. Now they had a chance to find answers together. Scouring the apartment, he found a notepad and a marker. Holding his message against the window, he wrote, "Meet at Walkway. Go now. Daylight safer." She nodded in agreement, her face set with newfound resolve. They both understood the risks, but the prospect of not being alone in this nightmare was a powerful motivator. He quickly gathered a few essentials, water, some food, a flashlight, and made his way to the door. Taking a deep breath, he unlocked it, the memories of the reptilian creature from the night before still fresh in his mind. But the early daylight hours seemed to offer a reprieve from the terrors of the night. Stepping into the hallway, he moved with purpose, his destination clear. The walkway above would be their rendezvous point, a bridge between their isolated worlds. As he made his way upwards, hope burned brightly, a beacon in the darkness of the unknown. The signs pointing to the walkway were everywhere, their bold lettering standing out starkly against the dimly lit hallways. The windows, intermittently placed along the corridor, allowed slivers of daylight to pierce the gloom, casting long, eerie shadows that danced with his every step. The desolation of the hallways was palpable. Doors stood ajar, revealing empty apartments, their interiors ransacked in what seemed like a desperate search for supplies. or perhaps a means of escape. Here and there, bodies lay strewn, their final moments etched in expressions of terror and pain. Some were alone, while others were huddled together, as if seeking solace in their last moments. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the soft echo of his footsteps. As he approached the walkway, a sense of anticipation gripped him. The clear glass tunnel stretched between the two buildings, a bridge of hope amidst the chaos. And there, at the far end, stood a figure, a woman, her silhouette framed by the soft daylight. Their eyes met, and in that instant the weight of their shared ordeal connected them. They ran towards each other, their footsteps echoing in the empty walkway. Meeting in the middle, they embraced, the warmth of human contact a balm for their wounded souls. Tears flowed freely, not just from relief, but from the overwhelming emotions of fear, hope, and gratitude. Pulling back, they exchanged stories. She spoke of her own harrowing experience, of the terror of the night, and the confusion of waking up to a world gone mad. He shared his own tale of the burning pain, the creature in the hallway, and the desperate hope of finding another survivor. Their stories told, a mutual understanding passed between them. They needed to find higher ground, to get a better vantage point, and perhaps spot other survivors or a safe haven. The roof seemed like the best option. As they made their way upwards, hand in hand, the bond between them grew stronger. In a world turned upside down, they had found an ally, a beacon of hope in the midst of darkness. The rooftop offered a panoramic view of the city, a vast expanse of concrete and steel stretching out in all directions. Buildings, once symbols of progress and prosperity, now stood as silent sentinels amidst the devastation. The streets below, usually teeming with life, were eerily empty, save for the occasional flicker of movement in the shadows. The vastness of the desolation was overwhelming. The air was thick with a palpable sense of loss, the silence punctuated only by the distant cries of despair and the ever-present crackling of fires. The two of them sat side by side, their backs against a low parapet, the weight of their situation pressing down on them. Words seemed inadequate, and so they sat in shared silence, each lost in their own thoughts. Exhaustion soon took its toll, and they drifted into a fitful sleep, their bodies still recovering from the ordeal. The passage of time was marked only by the slow descent of the sun and the encroaching shadows. Awakening to the embrace of darkness, their senses were immediately on high alert. The moon, now high in the sky, bathed the city in a silvery glow, its light casting long, eerie shadows. The stillness of the night was broken by distant sounds, low growls, the soft patter of clawed feet, and an unsettling hissing that seemed to come from all directions. Their eyes, now adapted to the low light, darted around, searching for the source of the sounds. And then they saw it, a creature, its reptilian form illuminated by the moonlight, emerging from the rooftop access door. Its nostrils flared and its head swiveled, clearly catching their scent. The realization hit them like a ton of bricks. They were not alone. But before panic could fully set in, their attention was drawn upwards. The night sky, once a canvas of stars, was now filled with a myriad of objects descending rapidly. They looked like meteors at first, streaking down in brilliant arcs of light. But as they drew closer, it became clear that these were not natural phenomena. They were crafts of varying sizes and shapes, their surfaces gleaming in the moonlight. The two survivors watched in awe, a mix of fear and wonder coursing through them. Were these potential saviors or a new threat? As the objects neared the ground, the creature on the rooftop paused, its attention also drawn to the sky. The world seemed to hold its breath, waiting for what would come next. The sky was ablaze with beams of intense light, each one targeting the reptilian creatures with unerring precision. Every time a beam made contact, the creature it hit was instantly vaporized, leaving behind only a wisp of smoke. The methodical extermination was both terrifying and mesmerizing to watch. The man and woman clung to each other, their eyes wide with a mix of fear and wonder. The sheer power and technology on display were beyond anything they had ever imagined. The cityscape, already a tableau of devastation, was now lit up by these otherworldly beams, casting eerie, dancing shadows across the ruins. As they watched, one of the ships, a sleek, silver craft with smooth, flowing lines, descended directly onto their rooftop. It landed silently, its surface shimmering as if made of liquid metal. A section of the ship's hull irised open, and from within emerged a being of pure, radiant light. It was humanoid in shape, but its form constantly shifted and pulsed, making it difficult to discern any distinct features. The light being approached them, its presence both awe-inspiring and comforting. It spoke, its voice resonating in their minds rather than their ears, a melodic symphony of thoughts and emotions. "We are the Luminara," it began. "Guardians of the cosmic balance. We have been monitoring your planet, and we became aware of the invasion by the Drakari, a race of parasitic creatures that seek to dominate and destroy." The man and woman exchanged glances, trying to process the information. The light being continued. "The Drakari infect planets, eradicating intelligent life forms and consuming all resources. Your world was their latest target." The woman found her voice. "But why are we still here? Why did we survive when no one else did?" The Luminara responded, "It is rare, but occasionally individuals possess a unique genetic makeup that makes them resistant to the Drakari's toxin. You two are among those few." The man interjected, "So, what happens now? Is our world lost?" The Luminara's form pulsed gently. "The Drakari threat is being neutralized. However, the damage to your planet is extensive. We can offer guidance and support in rebuilding, but the path ahead will be challenging." The two survivors looked out over the city, the weight of their responsibility settling in. They were the last hope for humanity, and with the help of the Luminara, they would begin the arduous journey of healing and restoration. The Luminara's form shimmered more intensely as it began to relay the ancient prophecy. In the vast tapestry of the cosmos, there are stories that transcend time and space. Stories that are whispered among the stars and carried by the winds of the universe. The man and woman listened intently, the weight of the revelation pressing upon them. "Centuries ago," the Luminara continued, "our seers foresaw the rise of the Drakari and the devastation they would bring to countless worlds. But amidst this darkness, a glimmer of hope was foretold. Two souls, immune to the Drakari's plague, would emerge from a world on the brink of annihilation. These chosen ones would be the beacon of a new beginning, heralding a rebirth not just for their world, but for the entire galaxy." The woman's voice trembled with emotion. "Are you saying that we are those chosen ones?" The Luminara's light pulsed softly. "Yes, your survival was not mere chance. It was destiny. You are the key to a brighter future, the architects of a new era. With your unique resilience, you will lay the foundation for a world that will one day join the Cosmic Alliance, standing shoulder to shoulder with civilizations from across the stars." The man looked deep into the Luminara's radiant form, seeking answers. "But how? How do we even begin to rebuild a world from the ashes?" The Luminara responded, "With our guidance and the resources of the Cosmic Alliance at your disposal, you will not be alone in this endeavor. We will provide you with the knowledge and tools to cultivate a thriving civilization, one that values harmony, unity, and progress." The two survivors exchanged a glance, their bond strengthened by the weight of their shared destiny. The path ahead was daunting, but the promise of a brighter future fueled their determination. The Luminara gestured towards the ship. "Come, we will take you to a place untouched by the Drakari's devastation, a sanctuary where you can begin anew." With a mix of trepidation and hope, the man and woman stepped forward, ready to embrace their destiny and embark on the greatest journey of their lives. As they boarded the ship, the horizon beckoned, promising a new dawn for their world and the galaxy at large.